Welcome to this transformative course, which will truly change your perspective on creating videos and images with innovative artificial intelligence. You might be using services like this one, like Xfield, whose main goal is basically to make you spend as much money as possible by showing you incredible results that are quite hard for you to achieve. And that's simply because you don't have the right method. And generally, the vast majority of beginners who create with artificial intelligence will start by writing a prompt, then generating an image, and then generating a video. And this is absolutely not the right method. You should also know something important. Everything shown here is always the top 1% of what is achievable with artificial intelligence. Yet, as you can see, it's possible to create high-quality videos. Here, for example, you can see my animated film Lost Garden, which has received international awards. Thanks to this, even though I was completely unknown to the general public, I won more than 20 awards, including the prestigious Chroma Awards last year, at a time when almost no one yet knew how to generate full AI videos with consistent characters who have the same voice and a real story spanning several dozen minutes. What I'm going to show you here, you'll be able to apply it whether you want to create series films, but also commercials or presentation videos. All of this, whether it's in realistic 2D or 3D mode. And as you'll see, this method will keep you from throwing your credits out the window and paying extremely high prices, because you'll learn the real methods used by professionals. And in fact, I train studios and well-known professional companies who call on my services to learn my techniques in order to produce high-quality videos. So maybe you've already generated hundreds of images you like and videos you like as well, but what exactly are you planning to do with them next? How are you going to monetize this skill? How are you going to manage to create a real 1-hour film with characters who have the same voice? How are you going to create ads that don't look AI generated? I'm going to explain everything to you. If your first approach is, for example, to go into video and then enter a prompt, a text, without putting much effort into it, artificial intelligence is smart enough to understand your intention. Well, in that case, you're already throwing your credits out the window. Quite simply because you're potentially experimenting with an idea that isn't defined and that you haven't laid out on a storyboard. So first, generate the images to have all the shots, to have all the angles, so that you can then say to yourself, I have ultra-optimized prompts based on an idea that is fully validated, which will allow me to generate my final video in 5 or 6 videos, rather than experimenting and testing in every direction. And that's the main reason why your projects cost too much, take too long, and never reach the level of quality you want. Your problem isn't that artificial intelligence is too expensive. The problem is that you're asking it to think for you by skipping steps. And as a result, you pay for each of your hesitations, but also those of the AI, because it's still a matter of probability. You get caught in this cycle, and in the end, you've generated lots of beautiful images and videos that don't fit together, when you could have produced only a fraction of them to achieve a better quality final result. By the way, you really should never buy prompt. You should generate them yourself, for example, with ChatGPT, with Gemini, it doesn't matter, or with your own tool, but the films and videos that impress you aren't better because the creators found a magic prompt. They're better because before moving on to generation, someone made decisions. And these decisions are very simple. It's simply about locking down a bit of text, a script, and then imagining the shots, the different framings with low-cost images to agree on the intention, the camera movement, the action, and of course the consistency of the characters, all while keeping in mind that you can, of course, optimize each generation and each take. And also ask yourself, what kind of behavior does the character have and what does he want? It's the same case for a feature film, a series, or even making a commercial. Your goal and your expertise are not about having the best image. Anyone can have sensational images. Your objective is to succeed in creating something that will move people, so that people become attached to your world and your work. And all of that, that's the real difference. Working in a sequenced way, starting with a script, then generating the images and framing shots, so you can then retrieve the prompts that will be automatically deployed and optimized, allowing you to generate your videos with a single click. That's what truly makes the difference, and it always has, no matter what the field. It's the vision. And that's also what allowed me 8 months ago to release Voidborn when no one knew how to achieve character consistency, to win numerous international awards, and above all, to accumulate over 105,000 views with this anime that I created entirely on my own. And rest assured, you don't need to be a specialist. You can be a complete beginner. And you'll see that writing all this is very simple, and you'll be able to get help from artificial intelligence. And that's why we're going to create a project together. We'll call this story The Child and the Dragon. There we go. I create a project and I find myself here directly with a blank page. I'll say, well, it's written by Frank Houbrey. Right over here, I'm going to be naming my brand new episode, The Child and the Dragon. And it's very important to honestly ask yourself whether you can answer the following 3 questions. The first is, what do I want people to feel? That is not exactly what you want to show. And that's important. As I say again, anyone can make images of super high quality. You go on Sidance, you generate 4K images, and that's it. But in the end, it's not Transformers that left a mark on people. People don't necessarily want to rewatch Transformers. On the other hand, The Green Mile is still fondly remembered, with people saying, The Green Mile, that's a movie that really touched me. So ask yourself this question. What do you want people to feel? Not just what do you want to show them? And it's the same thing if you're making an advertisement. What is going to really move people so that they come to you to buy something? It's not because you have a beautiful image, it's because you made them feel something. And here you see we're laying the foundations of writing. And if you really want to stand out in the world of AI, because all the YouTube channels that just churn out AI videos or automatically generated content are going to get banned or dropped to 0, that's over now. Well, this is exactly what you need to apply. So what do you want people to feel? A sense of wonder, fear, joy? A memorable video isn't just a collection of beautiful images, it's an emotion that evolves. This brings us to the second question. What is the idea that the viewer needs to understand? And it's just one idea, not 4 different messages, not 3 characters, not action going in every direction, not constantly changing setting, not special effects everywhere. You need a strong and simple idea. For example, let's say we go with the idea that a man discovers that the dragon he is supposed to fight is actually protecting the last child of its people. There we've already established a story. There's a goal, characters, tension, and a revelation. And the third question, after all, we're dealing with images. So what is the final image? What is the shot that you absolutely want to nail? The one that could actually become your thumbnail or your poster. It's basically the poster that people will share, thinking to themselves that moment was incredible. And that's important because if you know your destination, then you automatically know the shots that will get you there. And we'll be able to generate that thanks to the storyboard right here. In our case, well, the final image could be the warrior laying down his weapon in front of the dragon upon discovering the child. So I just created this project in ScreenWeaver. There you go. And let's assume that I'm not necessarily good at writing in screenplay format. Well, here I have a little artificial intelligence that will help me. And this AI is trained to assist and support you. And under no circumstances does it train on your own ideas. You remain the sole owner of your ideas. Now let's turn an abstract idea into a script, a storyboard, and a production plan. So what's next? Create a 3-minute story. A man finds his target dragon is actually protecting his people's last child. Finally, the warrior disarms, finding a child asleep under the dragon's wing. It's a 3-minute story, say perfect for social media. I send it to the AI. It replies, "Hello Frank, here is your 3-minute story, the confrontation." The first key moment is the hunt, where the warrior Eldrick braves the storm to reach the dragon's cave. The second key moment is the confrontation. The third key moment is when the dragon refuses to fight. And the fourth key moment is when the knight lets his sword fall to the ground. All of that has been incorporated. All I have to do now is close this, and you can see that the story has been written right here. And for those who specialize in script writing, I can click on outline view here and actually see the intensities, what we call the beats here, the different scenes, and of course my entire script. And I can move each of the elements if I want to, and I can go back just to the script writing section at this spot, and I can see that during the confrontation, for example, the action is building up. And here, there's a moment of tension and suspense. We can see locations that have been defined, like the dragon's lair, for example, but also characters such as Eldrick and here, the dragon. The dragon might be a character. I can go into story elements and I see that under characters, there's Eldrick and there's the dragon's lair. I took this example to show you that I can also very easily create characters here. First, I'll select the dragon, right-click to choose new character dragon. Moving over here, double-click character child and then new character. What's happening? I end up here with the characters Eldrick the Knight, the Dragon, and the Child. And I'll be able to drag images onto them and add a description to create an inspiration mood board, which will then allow me to easily generate my storyboard and professional images. And this allows me to have a structure where I'm totally organized. So here I could come in and say Eldrick is a knight, etc. Or I could come here to the assistant and ask it to create the description for each character. I ask it to create the descriptions for the 3 characters, knight, dragon, child, and for the location. And I'll be able to collect all of that and put them directly into the mood board. Here's Eldrick, so I take his description, copy and paste it, and put it directly in this spot. And I'll do the same for each of the elements. Once my descriptions are done, I've really started to establish my universe. And as I mentioned, I can easily take images and drag them in to enrich my mood board. I can take this image, drag it here, and think that this image of a knight would be perfect. If I run out of space, I can of course expand any of the sections you see right here. And what happens next? I'm going to go to the storyboard section and start generating some initial basic images of my characters based, of course, on the specific elements I've provided. For example, the description. And here I can, for instance, link this image here to use it as a source of inspiration. And then it will generate a nice, clean character sheet for me. You should know that these are standard and basic images used solely for working on character placement, framing, and pacing. And only afterwards, once we've generated the entire storyboard and all the scenes, will we move on to the production phase, which will allow you to directly simulate your film at a lower cost. And as you'll see, artificial intelligence is going to help us a lot here. And here it is, the character sheet for my character. So we're using a basic style because we'll only focus on the style later on in order to create high quality images like this one. And we'll meet again directly in the second part for generating all the images for your storyboard. So are you ready? I'm going to show you how you'll be able to generate your entire storyboard. And I hope you're connected and that you've also generated your very first script. So you see here, I've generated my character because I gave it an image directly with a description. But you could also just as easily say, okay, you don't necessarily have an inspiration image. You just want to generate your basic dragon character with this simple description here. And it's totally possible. You're going to have, as I told you, a standard style that isn't necessarily super beautiful, but that's how we work to make storyboards. Because what we're interested in are the placements and the action. So I'm clicking on generate and it's going to generate my characters. And here too, for example, the location, the dragon's lair. You can see and track your tasks in this spot right here. So we see that the images are currently being generated. Here we have the basic child image and here the dragon image. And each time everything is optimized. We have front, profile, and side views of the face to maintain consistency for the character. Next, regarding the location, we can see the interior here, the dragon's lair, with even a plan and the famous nest. We're working with 3D shapes without textures here, simply to allow the AI to properly understand the spatialization and object placement. What's left for us to do here is to generate the different scenes. And as you can see, I can click here on auto generate and I'm going to tell it to generate each of the scenes for me. So it's going to read the entire script and automatically generate every action, every correct camera movement, and every shot. And you see that the gain here is huge and it'll allow me to simulate my future film with my images. And now we see that it's starting to generate automatically. We see the action that was described, the shot values, and the different angles. So what's going to be left for us to do? Well, we'll have to generate the different images that we find here. So I can click here, for example, to generate the very first image if I want to, or I can go back to this section and then generate all the storyboard images at once. If I don't like an image, I could very easily re-edit it later on. There we have our first image generated. So this is the dragon's lair right here. And you see this first image, I can say, well, the shot is going to be very long or it's going to be short. And then I'll press play to simply watch the different images scroll by. And that way, I'm immediately in agreement on the shots I use, on the durations, and I'm not throwing my money out the window trying to generate video first. And you'll see we're going to save a massive amount of time anyway. Because besides that, when I create these images in the production part, well, I have my workflows being generated automatically, and that'll let me generate my final images afterwards. So I'm thinking, okay, it looks like a good start. I'm going to ask the AI to generate all the images and we'll see the film being created and unfolding before us. In case I don't like an image, for example, this one, I want to crop it. I can crop it. I can ask it to edit, for example, and say here, put in a dragonflight. Or if I want, I can even change the camera placement to regenerate a new image. And here we see the story begins to generate. We see the knight arriving and he's consistent with the images we provided. If I want to add an extra shot, I can click the plus here and of course create my own shot, change the action, regenerate the image, change the future camera movement or the framing. And of course I have help here to understand what each shot value corresponds to every time. And you see here, we have optimizations with a link like this, meaning we'll use the same shot value and roughly the same position and image, and it'll generate in a single video rather than generating separate videos. So once again, we're optimizing to the max. And then if I say, for example, here, I want this shot to last 2 seconds, this one to last 3 seconds, and this one to last, say, 2.5 seconds, and this one a bit longer, I can adjust it and then play the story thinking, okay, there's this shot. He draws the sword, arrives in front, looks, contemplates, moves forward, enters. The goal is to be able to simulate your film every time and hit play and say, I know exactly the framing, the shot, the characters, the actions, the camera movements, and the duration. Instead of generating a 10-second video, I realized that here, I can just generate a 6-second video. I save on costs, and plus my prompt is fully optimized. And that's how the professionals work. They lock in their script, their scenario, which they can then write manually. As mentioned, if you want to add a character, you click on characters here or right-click. And it's just a text editor where you can ask the artificial intelligence here to help you and reformat everything no matter what. Then you enrich what's called the Bible. That's what allows you to have character consistency throughout. You can put in as many images as you want, text, and even define objects well, which then lets you generate the storyboard. And generating an image costs 100 times less than generating a video. And then you launch it. You have your sequence, your story unfolding before your eyes, and then the whole production part here is automatically generated, allowing you to have workflows with the action already predefined, the shot value, the camera movement, the inspiration image for the position, and so on. And then you can click on Generate Video, defining, of course, the style of your video to have, for example, a 2D, 3D, realistic rendering, or any rendering you want. And we're going to look at some generated images together right here. Right now, the production part is only accessible privately, but starting now, you can write your script and generate your entire storyboard. This part will be available very soon, and it's completely modular. You can add all the nodes you want, but whatever happens automatically, your time and efficiency gains are maximized. Because all these workflows are generated automatically without you needing to do anything else. You've got your video rushes, and now we're back in the editing section where I'm really showing you the inside here of my generated anime. You see here all the different pieces. The assemblies have been worked on in a professional way. And as you can see here, we have the script, which is for episode 1 of Lost Garden. And we find the storyboard here with the character, which allowed me to have all the shots, all the actions, all the different characters, and end up with these final images. You can see it here. These are the opening scenes. We see the knight here who is on his altar and who gradually wakes up, animated by a blue light, and who gets up and goes off to explore the forest. And that's what allowed me to have the following shot. And you see all along we have real character consistency, environment consistency, and even when you have action scenes that are still very intense, which allows you to have really a true production with a story, with beautiful moments, with good intensity. If you go directly to production, that would very easily cost you 10 times more, and it would also cost you 10 times more time, headaches, much less quality at the end, and surely maybe you would have abandoned your project. And here I'm talking about a project that is in 16:9. We can do projects in 9:16, of course, and we can go for themes that are realistic. Here, for example, are some videos that I made with this tool, and we see high quality 3D here. Before, we saw something realistic that works super well. There, for example, luxury advertising with images that are real and very high quality. Again, 3D animation with really beautiful shots, as you can see. And that's what's absolutely incredible, because everything is possible thanks to artificial intelligence. Everything you see here are things I've created 100% with artificial intelligence, with consistent characters and real stories. Now, that looks like a real image for once. Look at the level of detail we can achieve. Anyway, everything is completely possible thanks to AI, from generating images, videos, sounds, and voices. With this workflow, we're breaking down almost every barrier that exists. We work professionally, and studios will actually want to work with you. That's why I really encourage you to use the ScreenWeaver tool, which will let you reach this quality level and I hope create truly beautiful things.